Great class. 6:37. Great. And quickly do the roll call. We have myself, Sandy, Susan, Erica, Mike, and we expect this. So, public questions and comments? Nothing. See any strangers? And guests, who do we want to start with? We want to start with Marie.
Hello.
How are you?
Sure.
Good to see you again.
Nice to be here. Should I wait from the regular business section or you can start now?
I had told them that, would call them first.
Oh, I'm honored to do so. So welcome to Digital Marketing 101. But two things to talk about tonight. Not that huge pile, but something nervous. It's too smaller pile. So we have our normal report, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But before we do that, we're going to do a little digital 101, right? And talking about some of the terms so that moving forward, when we share an automated report, everybody's talking about it. Right? Okay. So I like everybody, you saw me counting, because my colleagues made 8 copies and he didn't make enough copies. And I told them that wasn't going to be enough. And they're like, oh, no, you're going to be fine. So I'd like someone to take a picture later of not having
Well, it's my fault. I told them how many.
We're going to share. We're going to share. And Jennifer, I know you told them that, but I said, Jennifer, you didn't say Jennifer Maria needs to keep a copy, right?
Oh, no, they didn't.
We did it. We should have said that to you. So welcome to meeting preparing 101. We're going to
share one over
here.
here.
The copies over there. One for each of you. One for you.
We're sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you do it. There's an extra one here.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Same everyone. Okay. All right, so give a click off. The first thing is a two-sided document we're gonna go through, and I only chose the most relevant terms. What is all of this about? All of this about tonight is so that you feel empowered and with any of the digital data I share with you to understand how your media is doing. A couple of things to keep in mind. Everything, really, a lot of things come down to the click per function, right? The cost per function, the cost per click, the cost per 1,000, the cost per conversion. You're going to hear a lot of that, the cost per, which is great for you to have some sense of that value. And the other thing that comes down to a lot of logic is the higher the level of connectivity and time that you spend together with the customer, the higher the cost per 1,000 going, right? So social media on their phone going by the second is going to be the cheapest cost per 1,000 because it is the least impactful, right? You can only see it for a few moments. So you can see more of it and it becomes more impactful because you can give more. The cost per 1,000 in YouTube, for example, where you have to wait for that video to end, that ad to end before you can skip it and go to your content, they are trapped there, for anywhere between 13 to 30 seconds. That could be much more money, only $2 per 1,000 compared to $7. Okay, so we kind of keep that logic in mind. We're going to talk about for these terms together. All starts to make sense. Ready? Okay. So the first A word is the algorithm, and you're going to hear a lot about that. The algorithm is the interpretation of the software as to how it's going to be delivering your message. So, for example, on TikTok, if you get 100 organic views, no reason, if you get 100 organic views in the first 10 minutes, you will then be bumped up into like the next almost like doorway of the opportunity to be seen by 1,000. And if you reach 1,000 by X number, and then it's really bumped up into 10,000 impression space. So the algorithm in TikTok is very easy to understand and very easy to gain. This phrase maybe became very clear. The algorithm on Meta, social media, Facebook and Instagram is not as easy to understand. And it has to do a lot with where they see you spend the most time. Since I saw you all last, I got engaged.
Oh,
I was
stunning.
And it was stunning. You see the fiance that comes with it. Oh, yeah. Right, where was I? Okay. So now I see a lot of wedding photos because where I'm spending my time is that kind of terms happening a lot on my social media. So I'm seeing a ridiculous number of wedding gowns. Right, that's how the algorithm works. It pays attention to what you want because they want you to stay in that media for as long as possible. Because the more that you're there, the more money. Right? So algorithms will vary per media, but they all have. Google has an algorithm based on searching for something. And it's going to first do it based on the geographic positioning of your mobile device first, and then your search history, right? And then your age and your demographic will deliver different. They're all algorithms. So you're going to hear us explore a lot by learning power.
And one question, when you say an organic, you just mean new?
So no, that's a really good question. I don't think I've covered that clear word. Word of mouth, the power of word of mouth. That's truly organic. Okay. It happens by the referral. So when it comes to distillation and social media that you create and put out there with no money behind it is like word of mouth. It's like organic content. Okay, right? Taking that organic content and saying, go forth outside of my network and be seen by other people like my current customers is paid or sponsored. Okay. So if you can get those 100 impressions in the first 10 minutes of organic followers, the algorithm you then win more organic growth. Right? For the video game, right? And TikTok, right? The other algorithms are a lot more about connectivity or socials. Okay. Right? Right. Analytics is a phrase you're going to hear a lot. Analytics is most commonly related to the ability to measure anything digitally. But you can measure just about any form of media now with an understanding of the analytics on your website. You should be able to see if you're doing a radio spot or TV spots at a particular time. You should see traffic to your site somewhere around that window of time. And now there's devices on all billboards that if you go past a billboard for an attorney, for example, it pings your IP address of your phone, and you'll get that delivered to your mobile device when you're somewhere near that. No, I appreciate it. Somebody's jacking me. Yeah, that's how you keep fencing. And your fencing is what we're gonna get to. That's gonna be here. I'm glad you asked, right? So, and there's also passive listening by all devices. If you didn't hear that change that happened recently, that Alexa is now, this has no option for the content being said in your home not to be recorded by Microsoft or resources, or Alexa is Google Cloud, not to be recorded. So all passive listening happens, and it becomes part of the element of your known behavior about you for being able to share advertising. Anyone here seen the movie The Minority Report? No. So look it up later. Minority Report stars Tom Hanks, and just to do a little Google search, Minority Report Gap ad. As he walks into the Gap store, it reads the retina of his eyes, and it says, "How are those Dickie pants you bought 2 weeks ago working out for you?" Right? And basically, that is the progression of what's going to happen. Is that the more everyone thinks it's a beautiful thing, except consumers. Consumers are like, that's a lot of information about me. But most aspects are called the customization, the personalization, making advertising more meaningful to consumers, because no one asks consumers if they want it, right? So banking is a big place for this, right? So analytics tells you a lot about your audience, right? A banner ad is a digital display ad that appears in most forms of media. They appear everywhere, such as the bottom of the weather channel, which is one of our highest, most popular places. Eventually, I get signal to show up here at the bottom. Okay, there are 7 different normal sizes of banner ads. Yep, there you go. Amazon Prime. Because why? Because who just said something about Amazon in the meeting? I did. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So banner ads appear. These are actually some of the more effective, but they are the most difficult. And all I can pretty much do for you is say old Saybrook, and my space is gone. Okay. Click is when a consumer interacts with an ad or other target. Click can be to expand a message, click can be to go to the website, click can even make a purchase. The ideal conversion is what the click you really spend. The click rate is if the ideal is the click. How many times did you have to show them something to be able to get that action? The lower the click-through rate, the more effective you are. If you have to show it 100,000 times for someone to click on it once, that ad is not, that conversion's not. Conversion is whatever you want it to be. The lower your conversion expectations, follow us on social media, sign up for email, compared to get a credit card with us, schedule a tour for a house, sign up now to volunteer. The higher your conversion aspect of change of behavior, the more difficult that process will be. Most common ladders of conversions, for example, is make a $5 donation, make a $30 donation, give to the annual appeal, do the named opportunity, consider me for a legacy victim. I'll give you an example.
So I just, I have a question about that, which is, we probably all get ads from political parties, and it's sort of like, it's a survey, and then at the end, it donate.
Yes,
So if you do the survey, but you don't donate, does your thing count?
yes, because they've learned a lot about you in that survey.
Uh,
They've learned what zip code you're from, really important. They've learned, your opinions about them. It could be, tell us your age, right? But does not want to answer. Tell us your race, does not want to answer. Even if you choose to say no to things, they've learned you're maybe a more liberal person or a more conservative person just in that information, right? And they know exactly what IP address is coming. They don't know so far, but now I'm pretty sure that privacy is gone. They didn't know who was actually on the device at that particular time, or what, who was on the IP address in a multi-family household, but most of that is gone. People who tell me get really upset about it, just live an honest life because there's no way. There's no way to avoid it. Okay. Cost per acquisition.
It's scary.
It is.
This is like, it's like, oh my God.
Take on that energy. Take on that energy. I've been doing this for almost 40 years. Right. We'll go back to the billing area. I knew 40 years ago to run ads about women's dresses remember when they used to announce engagements? Right? I would run the ads for women's dresses and also for gyms around those announcements, because somebody was either looking for a dress or looking to lose weight to fit in the dress. Right? So it's really no different. Consumers' behavior is very logical, really no different. What is different is you had to pick up the paper and read the paper. You had freedom of choice of that. This phone in your hand all of the time is necessary for being able to function, communicate with your family. So it feels a lot more intrusive compared to other forms of media. It's the same thing. Okay, cost per acquisition. The conversion goal is the goal of wanting someone to leave a legacy. They actually do it is the acquisition. Or the ability to get their information or have them engage with someone is also an acquisition. Cost per click, pretty self-explanatory, right? How much did it pay you to get that actual click? For a personal injury attorney, for example, for a Google search for their ad to appear and for someone to click and go to the website could be as much as $100, maybe as much as $200 on the website. Okay. For you, I'm looking for a place to stay, etc. Your cost per click down here could probably be somewhere around $2.50 in search. We're going to buy Mystic this summer. We're actually a town. Mystic is not a town. Okay, it's a gym.
Yeah.
We're actually a town.
Yeah, we're actually a town, right? And we like you. Okay, cost per thousand, right? CPM, right? Social media, $7 per thousand, YouTube, $22. Frequency, okay? So, The average attention span of a consumer is about 3 seconds. And therefore you have to hit things multiple times and level of frequency when they say, oh, that's an ad on time. Oh, that's an ad for a lawyer, for someone with a tie. That's an ad for a lawyer, it's an ad for a lawyer and they do personal injury on time. That's an ad for a lawyer, they do personal injury, they're in pay them. On time. That's an ad, right? Oh, trans hello. I know the name, but you have probably passed that or seen that. Usually around 9 times before there's a level of frequency has been achieved for the absorption. So a frequency for radio is usually sometime around 3 to the same audience. Social media can be a little bit higher. If not, it's actually less. TikTok is actually less, right? YouTube is actually less. So frequency is page 2. Geofencing. Okay. So geofencing is a technique where a device crosses a field of a geographic location, content gets delivered to it. You want to have a lot of fun, turn your phone off when you get on the plane, turn it on when you get off the airport and watch what happens to your social media. Right? Welcome to Houston, Houston bars, Houston, right? Because your phone that is normally trapped in Connecticut is clearly identified as a phone that is hitting a geofence that and being new to the environment. Powerful. It is very powerful, right? So for us, you know, we want to have a geofence around the Amtrak station, probably 3 or 4 stops away, right? As they come through here, right? Don't you wish you were getting off the train? Right? Right, that kind of thing. Fun. We have a lot of fun with that. Right? Keyword, one of my favorite things to do, search engine optimization, SEO, is the ability to have content on your website that will organically drive visitors to your site. There's a reason I chose Old Saybrook for you. Redundancy of that word, do not own it, right? As you start doing a fill, you should probably have some fun with this. Start doing a fill for Say Old and Google will already deliver your account. So other keywords that that appeal and bring references through here. The Kate is highly known for the theater environment, your beach names, all of those kind of things you would need for the search through here. Other keywords are people saying where to get married or Airbnbs near me, et cetera, et cetera. So keywords have 3 places actually on your site in any form of advertising that you do. In paid placement campaigns, such as search engine marketing, which we're going to get to here in a minute. And also in any other content that you have, such as social media content as well. Right? Make sense? Okay. Landing page is a page that is created specifically for a point of conversion. So if we want to do a landing page specifically for people who want seafood, we have a lot of great choices, and we may want to say Old Saybrook or something kind of fun, right? And that would be a landing page. So you may at some point have a goal to have a conversion for something specific. Another great goal with a landing page could be a property that you specifically want to rent or get interest in, versus it making it difficult to find it on a site or a MLS listing. You might have a goal. Reach is how much your messaging is very simple term. How much your advertising reaches, how large an audience it is. Retargeting is something that you all experience. You have searched for a pair of black jeans, and those black jeans you clicked on to get the price on, it's in front of you everywhere you go for the next 24 hours, right? Or retargeting, because your IP address across the threshold of the website, it was captured by a thing called a cookie, otherwise known as a geotag. And it then will deliver to you for the window of time that is normally an element of conversion. Sorry, I'm burping. We went to the internet, Mr. Bunch. So, retargeting you can do for a window of time depending on the conversion and the lead to, right? People who are planning a wedding, 6 months to a year, we might be retargeted. Individuals who are voting will be retargeted up to election day. People who are thinking about going someplace for the weekend, retargeted for 12 hours. You will have to do a decision. Okay? And you can control that. How you doing? Enjoying this? Yeah?
A lot of cookie stuff, I'll tell you, accept, decline, customize. I'm like, seriously?
It doesn't do, none of it does any good. It's all theater.
Okay. It goes to just don't even. Good to know. Yeah,
No,
good to
it's
know.
all theater because it's happened way before that site is even loaded. Your data that you've got on there has already been captured.
No.
Right, yeah. So the minute you start typing in the field, in the Google field, a search function, they already know that your intent is to look for this, and that already has been registered with people who want to retarget you. So yeah, just skip it. Just leave it on the side. Okay. Search engine marketing, SEM, is my favorite form of marketing. There's the most visually boring, which is really hard for me. So search engine marketing is intent driven, Google AdWords. So you are doing marketing using keywords to drive people to deliver them a link for a specific site. There's a big secret about search engine marketing. I'll tell you right now. There's a big secret. Buy your own word. Buy your own brand. The paid placement is like a billboard. Right? Say for your store or whatever it may be, something you want to promote. Sidewalk sale now going on, whatever it may be. And then below that will be your organic listing of the content from your site. Close to 90%, almost 100% of consumers will click on the organic, not the sponsored ad anyways. So you have to deliver a message in front of them at no cost. If they do click on it and you charge for it, if you see that happening and you're spending money for your own brand too much, just turn it off. That's a great way to get messaging out. Talked about SEO already, and website view-throughs, everyone's dream is when a person comes to a landing page. Let's say they're looking for, I don't know, college admission. They start with the admissions page and then they go and they look at sports, they look at dorms, they look at come for a visit. This website view-throughs, that's everyone's dream. That they've got someone who's there and they're spending time in the site and we're learning all about their data, learning what they're searching for, and then we know them. All right. Good. Next page. This would be an example of a monthly report you would get from us. This is your digital advertising, right? All right. So, okay, I see it okay? So this is a dashboard, and this is a 30-day window of time. As Sarah organized here for March. So for March, we have spent a little over $1,000, and this is telling you how the spend happened. It dropped off significantly on March 17th, right around St. Patrick's Day, which is probably a time of a lot of confusion and a lot of advertisers, and we were not advertising specifically for St. Patrick's Day, right? And then it bounced back up again. So you can see that there were 2,700 click links for that $1,000 that we spent, and there were 135,000 impressions. You see that? And with me so far. So I'm going to take it. Going to go amount spent $1,000. Clicks on the links 2,700. Total impressions 135,000 total impressions. You see that in the next square? Okay. And CPC, what does that mean? Cost per click was 22 cents.
So the 135 per impressions, that's like, if somebody sees it 5 times, that's
Yeah,
5 impressions.
right. So it's not
Display
reach.
that ad 135,000 times to get 2,700
Yes,
clicks.
right. So the cost came, but you also only spent $1,000 on 135,000 brand impressions. So these are all good numbers, all good numbers. And the ratio of the amount of clicks that we had was up 12% month over month for a modest spend. That tells us that we either hit the right sweet spot for the market or the creative is stronger. Those are things we have to dive deeper to be able to see, right? All right. So, and these are examples of the ads, and you can see you know, which ad got you the best, right? You know, best of award had a higher click-through rate. Look at, had 2,000 click-through rates for only 34,000 impressions. Probably because people in your town organically shared it because they were proud of it. And so that was an applied endorsement that happened. The cost per click, see how it went down to 9 cents compared to average 22 cents. Click-through rate of 6%, which is unheard of. Normally the click-through rates are around 2%. So that was a really, really great ad for only $198. So that tells you when you put things out that are a point of pride for your own community, they will share because they're proud to be, right? You guys all go around with that OS sticker on the back of your car for a reason. And I knew you were that kind of community that had pride in itself when you moved to town. So it gives you something to take a look at.
So these numbers here don't necessarily split up like those 34,000 if they were all paid impressions or like these are the shared example.
Right,
They-
so no, this was paid
This is all,
impression.
okay, this is just the paid. So
Yeah,
this,
this-
so that post there, the best of might have had even more.
Yes,
if people were
even
sharing
more
them.
who share it,
Because people
right.
are sharing them.
Yeah, but I
That's
don't
gonna
think
make
we
the
have
algorithm show people.
show people,
more,
yeah,
okay.
it does, right? Right, and even, you know, even if you look at it, so we also have carousels. You guys know what carousels are? First, you know what a carousel is, it loops, right? So Facebook ads that should have a series of photos that loop through like a carousel. That's what that means, right? So we did a carousel about dining, and we did a carousel about another one with the same graphics that we did. And I've got to find out what the difference is between those. Looks like you might have updated it and changed and made a copy of it, probably did some updates to it to make it continue to be fresh. The first one had 931 clicks and the second one had 528. I'm gonna have to ask Sarah, and you should ask Sarah. You see this? You said I'm seeing the same thing twice and one was more effective. You should ask Sarah, why? Why do you think the second one was more effective? You're now empowered to be able to understand that and look at it. That's what they go through for me. So you put them through the same thing. Okay. All right. And
One is Facebook and one is Instagram.
is that what it is?
And it looks like we're consistently doing better on Facebook than Instagram.
Well, why are we doing better on Facebook, everybody? Why do you think?
We have a few more followers than there, plus it meets our count demographics
Why do you
more.
think we're doing better on Facebook?
I think it's a
I'm saying,
younger audience on Instagram.
there we go. That was a polite way of saying it's an older audience on Facebook. But I would make discretionary income an older audience anyway. Okay, the other thing to keep in mind is.
I think we all know.
So the other, there's a trend right now. I think it's still happening. It's called, oh God, was it Ocean Grandma? There's a fashion trend.
Oh, yeah.
What's it called?
Coastal
Coastal grandmother.
or something.
Yeah, coastal grandmother. Oh, Saybrook. Oh, Saybrook is coastal grandmother. That's perfectly okay. Oh, it's brilliant. It's still, Anne Hathaway was dressing it. Okay, so you got a sense of clicks, impression, and the click-through rate and the amount spent. Okay, that's what we have going on there for Facebook. We did no Google ads in March, but I have a Google ad example from the Celebrate Saybrook to talk about. Okay, all right. Bounce rate. The next page is the Google Analytics for your site. For your actual website, say Old Saybrook, right? Again, this is March. So your bounce rate is about 61%. And what the bounce rate indicates is when a person lands on your site and leaves at a time that's less than the average percentage of a person who visits your site, right? People get kind of anxious about bounce rate. I really don't think that they should. Quite often it is a click on it for opening that function. That would be considered a bounce. Click on it to call a number. That would be considered a bounce. To click on it to take you to a registration page instead, that will all be considered bounces. Your site is designed to convert individuals to go to other places. Go to the calendar, go to the stores listing, go to this event information. So I'm usually not concerned about bounce rate of, of anything really, below 75%, especially if it's meant to be a conversion size.
I'm assuming there's data behind to see if they would tell us where those bounces are going. Those examples you gave, and
Yes.
see,
Yes,
all right, we
so
got
we can see,
this many.
so I can tell you right here, right, so look at the 3 rows of the pages. Okay, so as you can see, little slash, that means the home page or the landing page, right? So these are the top 3 pages. The landing page had, 2,800 sessions, right? From with 3,000 views. Compared to the Celebrate Saybrook page, this is March, people are looking at that, had 191. On the Starlight Festival had 46 in the same period of time in March that people were looking. So it could have been people that were bouncing to go see what the vendor information was about those functions, and those events, that could be part of there. And we don't have a lot on our site just yet. We have event calendars that we're working towards having more listings, but we knew that. We were looking to build the site in a series of steps that wouldn't be too costly. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So let's talk about this little pie chart that you see right through here. And this is the profile of active users. You had 2,500 active users that went to your site. So active user is meant to not be a bot. It's meant to be an IP address that had measurable history behind it. 2,100 came from paid social. 165 came from direct, which can sometimes be a mystery, but usually direct is a bookmarked address where they actually knew it, or they heard the domain before and they typed it in directly. 156 came from organic search. That number is not high enough. Right, and part about having more content on the site, blog posting or other things users had, right? Articles, your own version of the e-list for Old Saybrook should be your journey, so that when people are saying things to do in Old Saybrook, they go to your site. Organic should be much higher than that. We'll get them. Organic social is a healthy number at 45. Referrals, probably from Chamber of Commerce listings or other places. Paid search is only 2 because we can put any money in paid search, so we're not going to have a lot there. And we have no display banners on that. Give you a sense of that. Where are they coming from? Very healthy mix. Look at this mix. Your own town, 274. New Haven, Boston, New York, Clinton, Bloomfield, East Lyme, Parkenburg, and Middletown. So, was that
Like the Bloomfield is, to me, is like,
in Bloomfield? So Bloomfield is a router location.
okay.
So I don't know, it's one of the cell phone providers or one of the major products. One time it was AOL, for example, that their router comes from Bloomfield. And so everybody runs through that router for that provider.
Okay, so that just seems like a,
Yeah, I know.
out there number.
I was there on it. My fiance was from Bloomfield. I'm like, are you looking at sites everywhere? So, no, that's what it was about. Okay, all right, let's see. Google ad campaign. So this is Celebrate Saybrook, which is why you see a spike. But I told you had none in March, so I want you to look at some numbers, okay? So, yeah, you're seeing this correctly. You had almost 2 million impressions from your Google ads in a very short spike window of time. That spike in May, et cetera, happened clearly for Celebrate, and then the November one would be Starlight. Right?
So that's an amazing number.
I mean, it is it possible? So, budgets can go pretty far if you spend them the right way. And, you had, you just, okay, you have good agency. All right? I can't be helpful anymore. Your average cost per click was $1.13. You had about 2,400 clicks that happened as a result of the ads through to your site. You paid an average cost per 1,000 of $143, which is a great number, for $2,700. So, I'm happy about what we see, and we see the traffic happens on the street. I think we need to think a little bit differently about who we want to be at. So for a while, we've been doing like, everybody come, right? We might want to think a little bit about, who is going to actually support the merchants and buy from you while they're here, as well as buying the food. So, and I think, probably without putting together a really well done video about it and having that be part of our messaging. The cost per 1,000 is going to go up. Why is the cost per 1,000 going to go up if we do a video? Where's that video going to run? YouTube. don't need me anymore.
You know, for example, that there's $1.13, the average cost per click is a pretty good number. But I don't know what it's relative to. I don't know that that's a good number.
Sure.
Shouldn't there be some sort of baseline?
Based on the industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so I would say to you that, again, I do know that, right, and that's part of years of doing this. But, so how can I put this for you in, right, let's go back to the law firm first, right? Why would a law firm be willing to pay $100 for a click?
It's high.
Big money,
Yeah.
yeah, settlements, $1 million lawsuit, in their pocket would be $250,000. So for them, the return on investment is how you determine the good number, right? So a little over $1 for having someone go to your site to taking them from, it's an event. It's an event happening this month. It's an event happening in this month, Old Saybrook, and I've gone to look at it, right? For me, that $1 per click is worth it because I probably brought a brand awareness to you that will convert to a person, maybe not this event, but someplace is going to come through this town and spend between dinner and shopping and maybe an overnight. I probably have easily $500, $800 for that return on investment possible for that, right? So that's how you judge it. There's no formula where you say, what will be my potential outcome, right? And is it $1.13? Do it for that. Yeah, that's a good number. Does that make sense?
So a goal for cost per click would be advertising that would get the most clicks, which would bring down the cost of the click. Okay.
So let me try to ask your question quickly. The goal is to, let me question again.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
Oh, shoot.
Okay,
So if you have 1,000 clicks and it costs you $1 click, the goal to me would be cost effective, that you would want to get the cost per click down. So in order to do that, you need more clicks. You need to perhaps specifically target a certain
yes, okay, I see what you're
or
saying, right? So there's an X and a Y here. Okay. So in other words, I could get a lot of people to click on something if I said free ticket. But which one of us is going to spend more money when we're here visiting for the event? Which one? Viewer. I am, right? Right. So my click is not the same value to you as her click. But if we were advertising Luna's yogurt, right, or Pads and Pearls, right, so it's not just the quantity and the cost for the click, it's also the value of the click as well, right? So lots of people clicking because they have insomnia at 2 o'clock in the morning and no one's available to answer the phone. It's another example, right? I could tell my clients, wow, we've only paid 50 cents per click, but no one was there to convert them, right? Right. So it still comes down to judgment about the quality of the audience that is coming as a result of the messaging, which is why I'm here on those days. And I say, who's got bags? Where are the bags from? Right? And are they buying the shirts that say Old Saybrook about them, right? And are they stopping at the Old Saybrook rec and other places? That's going to be someone that's going to be coming back every Tuesday for karate, right? That's what we're looking for. We got them at a minimum. They cross the threshold of our site and we can retarget them if we have money to do so. That's at the absolute minimum. I bought their IP address for $1. I can't buy a mailing label for $1, right? And we can retarget them. But ideally, I want them to have a long-term relationship with them. I want them to sign up for emails which they're not doing. I want them to follow us in social media, which they're modestly doing. I want to own them for that $1.
So it's more than just a click. You go to the IP address, you're getting value.
I'm getting the beginning of my conversions, right? Getting them to click is my first conversion. I cross the threshold and I can reach them on other ways. Yes.
Is that, yeah, clear it up? Yeah, it's too, okay. More clicks, less money.
No, it's not just about that.
Yes, who's clicking and then what do they
The
do after they
integrity of
click?
it.
Right, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, you've all experienced it, right? It's, it's the ham and bean supper that get people to come to an event. It's just fun.
I don't mean a lot. I'm in back in the woods and there's just big signs, ham and beans up.
Right, they're not there to feed you the ham and bean supper. They're there hoping that they meet you and convert you to a volunteer and convert you to become a donor and convert you to become a member of the organization, right? So what is your lost leader? What are you putting out there, right? Ham, right? Or in the case of grocery stores, right? The lost leader of, the 5 pints of strawberries for $1 or whatever it may be. It's the same mentality where you're saying, we've got this going on and we're paying to be in front of you. And when you click on this, you actually cost us money, but that's worth it for us because we're getting your IP address. We're getting to know you and know our community.
Right, to target you.
And we can target you. We can know where you're going. They know what you're doing. They know what you're doing.
I have to say.
You guys are really good. You guys are really good. Okay. So I'm going to quickly go through Sarah's report. And I'll go through it quicker because we now covered the basic of the data. We'll hang on one. Pass on this way. And pass on this way. Okay. I meant to do a little bit of shine. Sorry I'm taking so long. I'm going as fast as I can. Okay. We have a formula that we share, and I'm very proud of you for being really good about your 30, 60, 90-day plan, right? What you got going on right now for April, you're in one of your lower budget periods for $1,500 and how you're spending it. And we're going to start probably coming into some Celebrate budgets going to start happening pretty soon. We want to get ahead of people who are looking at Airbnb listings and all of those kind of things, right? May, say spring, part 2 is happening. Sarah and her type of, I love her dearly, man. Girl type so fast. That would be Celebrate, not Celebrate. Right? We're driving traffic to the calendar, and again, early. In May, we're moving into our summer, right? Celebrate, Saybrook again, traffic to calendar, and we'll be at our peak is happening. And then we have the events happening in June. And our budget should be going up a little bit here. Aren't we going to have a little bit here soon?
Yeah, so Sarah and I were talking today about what the ad spend is gonna be for, specifically for the event. So we can finish that.
So I'm hoping that we might get ourselves on YouTube or a few other choices we did last year, if we can.
So when people are looking for Airbnbs,
Yes.
I don't think there being any at Old Saybrook, probably there are.
Okay.
Okay, so how would they make that connection to find them? Where, they would just go to their websites or?
So Airbnb has listing by town, right? So they would probably even type in now, Airbnb has been so archived, you can type in Airbnb for a town and it'll bring up the directory of listings on the Airbnb site. Okay, sub URLs. URLs is the universal random locator. That's the abbreviation for a website address. Yes. A lot of people also have the app on their phone. Hey, recent work. I say young, say sick, but it's not fun. I love your show. I'm sorry. We spent about $1,100. We got about 150,000 impressions, 8,400 clicks with a click-through rate of over 5. I know that's a pretty good number, right? You saw a previous one, you're on 2s and the 3s. So this gives you a sense of it. Beautiful looking stuff. Okay. Currently, what we're running is the second half of Say Spring. Say Game On, say outside, say long weekend. We're always pushing that train and say patio season, okay? We're up to $788, 107,000 impressions, 2,000 clicks, the click-through rate of 2.2. The difference? Okay, show them food, they will come. Okay?
Would these both campaigns like target the same audiences or would like?
Similar.
Okay.
Similar audiences, right? Those likely to travel, those within a certain geographic area, those with certain levels of income. Yep. Okay. Okay. I'm excited. Your video header is live on your site, which is a lot of fun. Shows things in motion. This is one of my favorite models. She's actually wearing my jacket I had at the photo shoot around her arm as a scarf because, you know, some arms, not good arms. But so, okay. Right. Okay. Say Old Saybrook. Dinah's coming. Want to talk about this, Jennifer?
Sure. So this is, sort of a mock-up of what the dining page is gonna look like. We have this, quick link section on the top here with some of the more popular things, that we think people will be looking for. But certainly there's a drop down here for any kind of food choice, or any kind of, like we have a whole list of categories that you can choose from, which has to do with lunch, dinner, different types of seating areas and such and that. So you can sort of customize what you're looking for. And then down here, each restaurant will have its own listing. Some of them have a picture of food, some of them have a picture of their logo. We're working out some of the finer details here. Like, you know, I just actually saw this today, so
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to like, you know, fine tune it with everybody. Like, for example, this is not a picture of our Main Street, so we want to sub something in there.
We have pictures of me, but as your web developers, you know, could be held by
Each of the restaurants
With info?
Yep, and so we have over 60. I've been calling it sort of eateries because we have a few more like casual type things. And I wanted every eating option to be in there, you know, not just like your breakfast, lunch and dinner, but you know, maybe it's just a coffee shop or maybe it's whatever. All of those options are going to be on this site. So any kind of eatery. And at our last meeting, we sort of started fine tuning the pieces here. You'll see that it's a little hard to read this copy, but there's numerous types of categories that each one can have. Like, for example, Fiore's has Italian, pizza, sandwiches, Main Street, yes, casual. It shouldn't have casual. So we decided it was too subjective, mine to do that. And then you'll see underneath, breakfast, lunch and dinner. And so the ones that each of those restaurants serve are highlighted. And then we decided to also call out outdoor seating because I think as people come here for that.
Yeah.
So we wanted it to be like a prominent choice on all of the things. So, yeah, and this is all thanks to our intern. And she has been a huge trooper. She goes in there, she puts the pictures, she puts in the phone number, she gets the URL, and we provide it all in a spreadsheet with the tags. And then the web team can upload it into this thing. So right now we're working on the experiences. And then next will be the shopping, which is a little bit overwhelming, that particular piece, but without her, we would not be where we are right now, so.
Takes such labor to do.
Yes.
So, yep. We'll be ready for the season. Sales Saybrook, last 30 days, about 3,000 total sessions. We talked about this example in my previous document, what people are looking at and where they're coming from. And it's important for us to watch this, and I love that Boston and New York is repeatedly among your top.
What is the number two not set?
Yes, so you can determine privacy settings on your phone, where you cannot deliver your geo position and other things, and people do that. That's what happens.
We can still find
I wasn't gonna say that. But yeah.
What was that?
them. We can still find them.
Yeah, this is a 3-month summary for you, of what's happening. Food Social has delivered over 6,000 visits. That direct number is a healthy number, that organic search number is a good number, but that number can be better. And everything else is in line with where it should be. So 8,000 people to the homepage of that site in the next 90 days. So you're not going to be far away, but it will be a big debate for you for paid relationships on your site, where people can have banner ads and other things. That will be a very difficult journey for you as to who you determine can be there and all of those other things. But that's very, very possible for you. I think I mentioned this in the other sessions with you. It's coming up on the horizon. Spring part 2, featuring 50% of my staff. Those are free models. Okay. That's happening. And it's great to have all these beautiful photos and content, which we went through a lot to get. We're going to be able to have a year that we can do some posting. Then, you know, coming out in 2026 for some new images. Right. That's looking good. Yep. Right. We have 73 days to the event. Save date messaging is up on April 23rd. Facebook event gets posted by late April. Everything's underway. Right. And Sarah says she's ready for ice cream in summer. Okay. All right. Any questions? I love it. Good. Knowledge and information. Here we are. So what's the downside of that?
If you place them,
Yes. Yeah.
just do the same thing every year.
Yeah. So we have to consistently say about it, because I say to myself, well, I think that's a mistake out there. Let's roll next.
Thank you.
You may. Yes, you go. Absolutely.
Yeah. it's-
Also,
Bring it back every.
We might do a quiz next month.
hello, Carl.
How are you? Meeting. Downstairs.
With the tutorial on social media. And then.
You have my seat.
No. Oh, Maria, good to
Hello.
see you.
Nice to see you. So I'm just finishing up reports. Bottom line, this is an amazing group of people to work with. It's a real honor. Messaging's going well, and we're well planned for the next 20 days. All right. You have any questions for me?
No, I know, I'm not right now. I'm always something like so.
Had a day?
No,
Yeah.
everything's good.
Everything's looking great. So I'm gonna step on out and we can move on to the rest of your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. You guys did great.
So we just opened this. And now we'll double that. So your staff report.
You want to say anything? Yes?
Maybe.
Okay.
So, it's not, it's gonna take 5 or 10 minutes. And it's probably not for tonight because it's kind of a big topic. So, last night, many of you may have seen that there was an executive, we've had 2 now, executive sessions between the Board of Selectmen and the Park and Rec Commission about the acquisition or sale of land. And basically, in a nutshell, it's the Dock and Dine property, okay? Thank God, right? And the concept, and it's not, I'm asking the board, even though it's public, to not like run around because it has to be carefully rolled out. Whether you're for it or against it, it has to be carefully rolled out. It is basically the town would acquire ownership of the Dock and Dine property. 2.2 acres of waterfront property where we're getting the trails grant and really and contiguous land for Saybrook Monument Park, Gardner's Park. And in exchange, the Dicky Duffy Pavilion would become the Dock and Done. And there would be a land lease. So we would own the land under the Duffy Pavilion, but the lease of the building would be to the Point LLC, which is Caban. So it is, I think, we talked about it with Park and Rec extensively. We have some renderings downstairs that I don't think are here. For some reason, I've met in your office, but. So we've been kind of talking about it for more than 6 months and kind of talking to Park and Rec about it. Seems like a win-win. The Dock and Dine property obviously is sitting there. It's been sitting there for 13 years. And I was just a little girl at the time. And so, and the lease would be to Ghana for basically, as long as he wanted it. It's $1. It's not, we're not getting $1,000 a month or anything. He really takes the risk of a storm taking down that building. Because we do too, by the way. The town does right now. We could lose the Dicky Duffy Pavilion this year. We can't rebuild. Because it has to go it has to go up in the air. So that was a little bump in the road with him. But finally he agreed to take the risk because the Dicky Duffy Pavilion has been through several storms and hasn't had much damage, a little water in there. But the exciting prospect is, as you know, we're repairing the seawall. We got the trails grant, so that would be the sidewalk, river walk. And then the opportunity to really transform property, that Dock and Dine property, not build anything on it. We can't, just like he can't. Except we're talking about, and some of the visuals that we can show
Want me to
you.
get them?
Sure, sure. Some of the visuals show a large open air pavilion. Chris Costa was at the meeting last night. She's like, we just have to be creative. So it's an open air pavilion that maybe you can make it 3 seasons by having electronic sides that come down and you can put a heater in there on the ceiling. You can make it a pavilion, that is awesome. And that would be the idea. Maybe you have a food truck there, but other than that, it's basically passive recreation. But we'd still have an area that could, in theory, be rented out, for a party. And, let's say it's a pavilion, the size of open air pavilion, the size of this room. It's pretty good size. You can have a small party there. And so Park and Rec voted in executive session, or they didn't vote in executive session. We discussed it, came out of the executive session and voted to allow me to engage in further negotiations with the Point LLC. And the reason I'm a little cautious is the Duffy Pavilion hosts a lot of events, okay? And 60% of them are public events, 40%, according to Ray, 40% are private events. I know it's busy. I try to sometimes rent it out through the COG. Sometimes they are Council of Government. Sometimes they want to do a meeting there, and it's like no bridge, And anyway, so we had some renderings done. So this is looking from Gardner's Landing towards Saybrook Point Inn. Here's the pavilion we were talking about. Jennifer, Chris Costa and I went through this company that does renderings, and Jennifer wanted some of these swings that go there, some public art, basically a great lawn. So that would be, I went down one day and took a picture of the sky. So the skies, and so then we have a couple other, here's the pavilion. So this would be that pavilion we're talking about in winter. They put up a little skating rink, some lights, right along the river with a line. They're pretty pictures, right? And then summer, the pavilion again. And yeah, so that's That's the concept, they're in a fall picture. So, so that's the idea, is for us to be able to finally transform Saybrook Point. I mean, after all these years, right? I mean, it's exciting. Look, we've offered to buy the land from him. I've sent him 5 letters over the years. He doesn't want to sell it. He just doesn't. And Chris Costa made the point, in theory, housing could go there. He could put an affordable component. And this town is not in any way, shape, or form opposed to any sort of affordable housing, but it would be affordable housing that nobody wants to see here. He doesn't want to sell. The third option is for the town to take by eminent domain of some sort, but that is not an easy, nor is it, well, it is not easy and it is controversial. You'll get interest groups coming and, you know, one way or another, for or against, mostly against, when towns do this type of stuff. So the idea was for us to try to make some sort of, deal's the wrong word, but, and I hate saying an exchange or a swap or anything. Some of those words don't always have great connotations, but it's a deal where it's a win-win, I think. That's what we're hoping people can see. I go all over the state, I'm sure everybody here does. What's going on with the Dock and Dime? Is it ever gonna open again? I hear that's still to this day, one of the questions I get. This puts John Kadama in the Duffy Pavilion. He uses the pavilion as a restaurant. He has where the awning is for additional seating. And then there'd be some additional outdoor seating where there's a couple parking spots now as you go towards mini golf. All the parking would be shared parking. There's no his parking and our parking. Let him deal with Steve Tagliatella and all his employees who park in front of the Duffy Pavilion. So this way we I think solve a couple problems. We have a restaurant again that people can afford. People can go hopefully get a burger or a beer, maybe not a beer because you probably can't drink on park and rec facilities. Nobody does that, right? And when they're on the town green listening to bands. But a burger and a hot dog, come over here, relax a little bit, throw the football in the fall, whatever. So that's the concept, okay? And the idea from a timing point of view would be for the Board of Selectmen now to take it, recommend it to the Planning Commission, and have the Planning Commission approve it as what we call municipal improvement. Well, Mike, you're on planning, 8-24. But the idea is not to jam this down the public's throat. The idea is to engage in a conversation. And by the way, have a public hearing where people can show up and talk about what they're not going to get, what they are going to get. And then I was even thinking, because there has to be a vote eventually on this, to either put it to a referendum. I mean, let people vote on it. I mean, that's, I think we need, I think our board and Park and Rec will pitch the positives, obviously. Are there negatives? We lose the Duffy Pavilion. That's a huge negative. And it's an amazing place to go have lunch or have a meeting. But if you talk to Ray Allen about it, by the way, the Duffy Pavilion to him is pain more than anything else. He's like, I'd love to get rid of that, even though it's a great asset. He would never say that, but it's more of a pain. But look, I mean, that's the idea to kind of hopefully get a win-win on this. So just kind of soft opening, kind of putting it out there. I'd rather not, I mean, there'll be a little bit of chatter, but we do plan on moving this relatively quickly from the Board of Selectmen to planning, have it out there, hopefully do a press release very shortly to kind of say, look, this isn't a done deal. We want to hear from you. So hold your horses a little bit type of thing, even though that's hard to do once it's announced. there's gonna be negatives, there's gonna be a lot of positive, people will be excited, a lot of people will be like, not the Duffy Pavilion, you know, that's the only place we can go for next to nothing and rent. It's true. There is an alternative, I'm not even gonna bring it up because I don't want people to think that it's a like for like. There is an alternative in town. Sits over a marsh, in Porter Plaza. The estuary does rent their room there and it's really a beautiful space if anybody hasn't been to the estuary, so. But it's not a like for like, and no one's saying it is, but it would be, I've talked to the executive director at the estuary. And they are totally game to gain more revenue
Sure.
and it's cheap. It's reasonably cheap to rent over there, so, but again, that's not part of this conversation. If this were to actually go through the voters and pass, it would be perhaps something that we could help the estuary advertise. And trust me, there'd probably be a lot of people who would discover it and say, wow, this is a great place, you know? So, again, those are like apples and oranges, so I don't want to conflate the two. Anyway, this is what we've been working on for a little bit, in addition to some other things, obviously. You know, it's too soon. I just interrupted your meeting and did this to you, so not asking for any action, but at some point, I'd probably ask this board to take a position towards the Board of Selectmen and, or just take a position, not to the Board of Selectmen, as to whether it's something that this board would endorse. I have a very concrete offer also from a company to fix the docks and make it an active dock for a boat company. So that would be interesting too. And I think what that would look like is perhaps somebody coming in, repairing the docks, but also making sure there's a fishing pier and maybe a couple tie-ups for transients. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, why don't we have transient docks down there? I've had that 100 times. So part of any deal to perhaps allow a company, and by the way, a very reputable company that's not bringing in day partiers. This is a demographic that's not going to upset the apple cart. And I'm part of it, so, but to repair the docks, use it occasionally, probably offload people who probably would go to either Saybrook Point Inn, Dock and Dine, or maybe come on the main street. So as from an economic development tool, I think it would be really good. But I think part of that has to be getting some transient docks and a fishing pier. I think that's going to be super important to maintain that public access. So there's quite a vision going on down there between the Trails Grant and possibly this. And so just throwing it out. I'll leave you guys to your business, but any quick questions? I mean,
It sounds very encouraging. Fantastic, actually. But how have you decided to deal with the music issue?
Well, this will not be music.
Yeah, so there's not.
No, this is
for
a
band to
park
come
and
in.
rec facility.
Yeah, okay.
Could they have a band there? Once every now and then, that would have to go through probably zoning, probably get permission from, you probably want to make friends with the North Cove folks before you started creating noise. This is a park and rec facility, anything by permit only. So you're not gonna have people going down there playing music. I suppose they could bring a boombox, so you're right, something like that. Boombox, I'm dating myself.
The summer concert there is, I know that Harvey Street is another great location. We could do that, but I just had a question about just like, is any property being exchanged, or is it more just we're gaining use of it and he's gaining use of the place?
No, property is
Okay,
being
okay,
changed.
all right.
We own this in fee.
Okay, you made the comment that he doesn't want to sell it, so that.
No, yeah,
All right, I was
I'm
confused
sorry, yeah, I
about
said that
Okay.
he doesn't want to sell it. Because we made the offer to buy it,
Okay,
but in exchange for him being able to use the Duffy Pavilion as a restaurant.
right.
And once that deal is done, we own it forever, no matter what.
It'll be like locked into the
Done.
park.
Oh, yeah, it's
The
town
dock,
property.
the current Dock and Dine property.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what would happen. And the Duffy Pavilion, we would own the land. So if that building were ever destroyed and he never rebuilt it, it would, and there's something in the purchase and sale agreement, lease agreement that says if you don't build within 18 months or you're not getting your permits, it reverts back to the town. So we're not actually giving any land. We are giving a building, title to the building. It's a land lease, you know that. If you can believe it, Amtrak has a land lease. All the buildings there are land lease buildings. Amtrak owns all that land, at the train station. That was a big dump. Big information dump, but pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And again, not saying that everybody's in agreement. I get it, but I think it's, an opportunity for the town to put before, but do you want this or not? Right?
Right.
We will be favoring it, the Park and Rec Commission and the Board of Selectmen. We will favor it. Doesn't mean our feelings won't be hurt if it went down, but I'd love to see it go through. One of the things the chairperson said last night at Park and Rec is like, well, I don't want to see this, sit in the condition it's in if the town were to acquire it. We would have 6 months, the Duffy Pavilion is booked out 6 months. So once the deal was made, we'd have 6 months to start planning how we go in on day one and start renovating that property. Hopefully by then, the trails grant and the seawall are kind of ready to go. And that construction is happening while we're transforming the actual site that is there. I bet this property needs $2 million. I know it's hard to believe because it's a blank slate. What do you mean? How can it? But you have to dig up the asphalt. You don't know what's there. You gotta, you want to plant it. Might have to buy stuff. And so it's probably, I don't know if it's $2 million, but Chris Costa was saying how this is everything that Deep wants right now. Water, public access, water access, parks. I mean, she said, this is right up their alleyway. They're gonna love this. And so that might lead to grant funding because we're doing this.
Does Old Saybrook
Yes.
would be responsible for converting the pavilion to a restaurant?
No.
The town would
Absolutely
do that.
not. He goes in his own money. He owns the building. He would own the building. So anything he does to the building.
It's
would
up
be
to him.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, this commission was wholeheartedly in support of the last proposal for Dr. Nine site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a little different. By the way, and this is the last thing I'll say, I swear, the Park and Rec has a strategic plan. And they did it about 5 or 6 years ago. In that strategic plan, they identified 4 areas that they would like to see renovated. Clark Park, Harvey's Beach, I think Town Center, I wanted to say. Like that park over there. But this, they said, if we ever are able to acquire this land, what will we do with it? So Clark Park is gonna be reconstructed next year to a modern park. There's gonna be enough money saved. This would be the second piece of that. So, and you've already concluded the third. I think that was the third. So, and we have a steep grant out for Ferry Road Park. So if we can renovate, all of a sudden in 2026, 27, you can have this transformation of multiple parks up to 2026 standards. I'm gonna do that.
That's really exciting.
I encourage it, right?
Yeah.
So we'll move this forward. At some point, we'll come to this commission, maybe ask for a vote of hopefully support but things are gonna move quickly on this. It's public, well, I guess. We'd like to get the town in front of it a little bit, that's all. Because right now, we'd like to control the conversation, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, that we let her.
Okay.
Longer than she's anticipating.
No worries. I just wanted to confirm some stuff, but I don't know, my design kind of, because I like to make sure they liked it before I start doing anything. And so for the first thing I wanted to talk about was, would you guys want to fund for the like, sanding and weathering process of the piano, or, I mean, I know how to do that, but I don't know. You guys wanted some professional to do it so it would last longer. I don't know. I'm more of
We definitely talked about, I think, having somebody do the final coat on it.
yeah,
Boatyard or something, you would do the type of waterproofing that they do on boats and that, and,
Jennifer, did you think that, a guy there could sand it? Yeah, that.
So, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Somebody-
correct.
It's the whole works.
Oh,
Bill.
Clapping, Bill.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I don't know if I would public works to do that.
I mean, I feel like people are doing that for sure.
But, but, I mean, we could hire like, we've got a couple of handyman guys who work at the town hall that I could get a quote for that.
I think, if you think it would, that would help it last longer and like the work go, I think. We don't
Yeah.
want to make it feel off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a marine shellac
We
or.
want to
Let me
preserve the
talk.
art.
She means getting all that old, that
Okay.
To
whatever
get
it's
a
on,
good
yeah,
base, so that then the art goes on and then we show up. And
versus,
we want the thing to last.
versus peeling off whatever it's on now.
Oh, yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
I'm not an artist. I know that.
Oh, you need the,
You know, there's a finish on it, you can't really add paint onto that.
yeah, you
know?
need
Yeah.
to,
Yeah,
strip it first.
Strip it.
that- that's the key word.
Yeah, I mean, when I did the, suit with his bench, that was like, it's already chipping, but I put so much on it, so it happens. But I wanted to, so for the last year, I was looking at pictures, and it said play me on mirrors on it, so I kind of want to put that on again somewhere, like kind of above the keys or something. And then I don't know which, old Saybrook, you guys wanted to incorporate that, so I don't know which saying you guys thought would be good, but I was thinking like,
Well, you've seen our,
say community or like say.
you've seen our little
market.
tag things, right?
Yeah,
So we want to continue,
yeah,
have that also present on the piano. as
Yeah,
part of-
exactly,
part of
yeah.
the piano. I'll leave the artistic location up to you.
yeah, so I could definitely do that, but I was also just thinking, just the saying, I guess. Could be like say harmony, say Old Saybrook or something. Yeah, yeah, say music, say community or something, and then the lighthouse is like a staple of Old Saybrook, so I was thinking. We could do for one side that, and then maybe another side, the dancing, because it's for the stairs also.
Yeah.
Right, and then they wanted also their name on there, so I was thinking on the bench or something we could do. I think, will there be a bench for the piano?
That's a question.
We don't have one right now.
Okay.
But we do need one.
Yeah, and
I
then,
think they
The
wanted,
intention is to have it back.
I
yeah,
think they wanted their logo.
their logo somewhere, yeah. I was like looking at their logo and I didn't know which one they wanted, so I could reach out to them also. But I was just, this is kind of really small in here, sorry about that, but on like the base of the piano, I could incorporate their logo, or on the other side, like the people dancing. I think is that the logo?
Yeah.
People dancing, right? I think. And you guys want like the like conversation bubbles, say Saybrook somewhere on there, or do you want something like, you know how that's,
Yeah.
We know we want like the sale of Saybrook, that phrase on there.
Yeah.
All this Stuff, but yeah, that's a good question. If you actually want to like look like the current applicant then, or I can see like 5 years ago that might look bigger.
Yeah.
Changed.
Or even, I mean, even if we just had the speech bubble that says, say, play me, I'm yours.
oh, that would be cool.
And then, I mean, 'cause I don't feel like we need to say old say stuff
Yeah,
all over it. I mean, if we had the one
Yeah.
thing, like a
The
week
bubble would be
into
nice.
it.
Nice bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not to overdo it,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but just that one tie-in, personally, that's what I think.
Yes, I think that's great.
And then, you know, you have the other community imagery, like the lighthouse, and then we'll have
Yeah.
Fred Astaire. who's gonna
So,
sponsor.
with the two lighthouses, I mean, I think that's what's so brave, I will say, for those lighthouses together. I mean, would you think of like putting them, let's just say on a bench with something in the middle or something like that, or one on each side, what would you think would work?
I don't know, I was thinking about maybe one on each side, but I was also, I wasn't confused, but just wanted to like get your input on where to put some of like the words or the pictures and stuff. I also thought of like flowers, because there's always flowers on Main Street.
Yeah.
And, obviously, if I were to say like, do a sale of Saybrook on somewhere, I would try to make it a little more like timeless, I guess, for the piano. So it's like matches the piano and the Fred Astaire aesthetic, I guess, a little bit. And for like colors, I would do probably light blue to kind of tie in you guys again. And then I was thinking maybe, like, I don't know, what do you guys think for the base color? Because the last one was white, which is, I think is like a good base color, but I don't really know. Is that,
I feel like white's probably
Right.
outside in the sun, like white's, everything else is gonna fade anyway.
yeah,
What about blue, white?
maybe like a light, like a
Oh,
sky
yeah.
blue?
Sky blue.
A light.
Yeah, okay, maybe sky blue.
You know,
I like the idea of flowers, because of the flowers, the garden club is so
Right.
great. Those flowers.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Flower.
it's like maybe
I
some
think
kind
the
of stuff.
seat is a great opportunity for something special. What would be a good thing? I mean, I think of the two lighthouses.
But we don't know what it is.
True.
That's the problem. We don't have.
We don't
I know,
No,
that
the
was,
bench,
Yeah.
the bench, when they sold the piano came, the bench didn't, the house got sold, the bench never got.
That's just good.
The bench is fun. I thought we were gonna say piano though, didn't we?
So
Last week.
that piano is no longer available.
So we can get, find anybody else on the house. that has it.
No, maybe we need to put out like an ad out. Wanted piano bench.
Yeah.
Maybe something to put
Yeah,
Judy on our
One.
antique specialist. You know, the antiques in the stores and so forth. I mean, you can probably pick one up relatively cheaply at one of the collectible stores.
Good
in
idea.
town, you know?
You should send Judy a note.
Yeah.
Maybe some decorated.
Yeah, you wanna call, you might get that.
We got a job for you.
If you do, tell people to go on the, I don't know, those sites, if there's like any donated, bench. You know,
There's a buy nothing will Saybrook, and you put an ISO.
maybe have the guys at the transfer station, hey, keep an eye open.
I wonder if the thrift store. Yes, right, thrift store, and I told Kim, I said, just keep an eye out, we get furniture all the time.
Yeah.
They do have a table in there. Is it low enough? Yeah, it's like a coffee table, but it's a, probably a little bigger than a bench, but I mean. I
Like
bet
duets.
it passes the
Yeah,
bench.
duets.
Well, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
that'd be a nice little. Okay, so for their logo. Would it be like good to put on the side of the piano, or where do you get from the top?
Does it have to be that big, Jennifer?
Do you have to give it a ton of credit? I mean, we don't want
Life size, people dancing, right?
Can it just be a simple?
We didn't promise anything. We promised
Said the
just
logo be on there.
he asked me, he says, well, we'd like to have our, our
Our
logo or our name on it. And I said, yeah, because
Yeah.
they will store it and they will project. it.
Yeah,
So,
that's a big deal. They're dancing people, we don't need them.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
piano,
Yeah.
do we?
No.
No.
There's a back to this piano, is there not? Are you gonna paint the back, or is the back just gonna be playing?
Well, where would it be sitting, the piano?
It's been, this kind of kitty corner of the front stair, like the back of it would face.
So we could do people dancing on the back, so kind of,
You could tuck the logo in there, like, paper side or something.
Yeah. And then I don't know, I was trying to think of where to put that, because it's not like. I didn't know how big they wanted it, or like how big you guys wanted it, but under the base kind of.
Where the petals are?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, maybe, that's where you could put them there, and say, no.
It's on the front,
Yeah.
it's not screaming at you.
Yeah.
They get their time in the sun, yeah.
Yeah,
Shade.
You know what else I can give you our brand guide for sealed saber, so you can see our colors too.
yeah, cause I was thinking
I
about
meant to do
colors
that.
that would go well together at least. Yeah, and then you guys sailed Saybrook, I could do somewhere. And so I really wanted to incorporate the lighthouse, the flowers. I was thinking about like a beach maybe, but I don't know how like realistic I wanted to do. If I wasn't gonna do other things realistic, you know what I mean? I was just, I was just thinking about some design ideas, but I just wanted to get your guys' input.
All right, so now I'm getting this
Oh, yeah.
this is where the music would go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Give me a minute.
yeah, sorry, I was just. thinking
No,
of
no,
some
I
parts
was
now
not,
that
I interrupted you.
But I had a lot of ideas. I just wanted to get a little more of what you guys wanted to see on it before I obviously sanded or started anything.
See, now it's coming together. Wait a minute, I get the whole, see, the little guys dancing here.
Yeah, I think that would be
So it's
probably
over
better.
Here on the
Yeah.
side. Maybe we keep the little beach, put the
Yeah,
dancers there.
so maybe like a lighthouse on one side and then, I don't know, like on the flowers, just or like a beach.
Like.
A
we have
sailboat?
those- How, or the bird,
Oh,
osprey, or,
Osprey?
if you wanna do it. We have eagles.
maybe like a
Or like a marshy, like, I just
Yeah.
like a marshy scene.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are. Little marshy scene.
Yeah, I
Or a
think,
little beach scene with that.
yeah,
Fun.
I could go really realistic, I don't know if that would work. I don't know if that would look nice.
Yeah, I mean, what's tricky is there are so many options.
I know.
It needs to not be like too many options, but like some unity, so it looks like it goes together.
So like the lighthouse and a marsh scene or a water scene or something
Yeah.
is Old Saybrook.
Yeah,
And then you have your little dancers in the center,
in the center and then,
over to the garden court.
yeah, and then I was thinking about like flowers on the music.
Yeah.
Kind of.
The little
I
like
think that's
flower
great.
borders and stuff. you kinda-
Yeah.
I mean, that's, my sort of thing, you don't want it too busy.
Exactly,
You want-
yeah. I
you
kind
take
of,
pictures of it and it shows up, like it's gonna be sort of, oh, that's the old Saybrook piano. You want people like. Know
Nothing,
that, so
nothing
that-
would show because it's too busy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, there's
But
so many
yeah.
elements of Saybrook, but
Like the
There's
big
so much.
lighthouse on one, and they're recognizable. The
Yeah.
Saybrook,
Yeah.
like maybe on the beach, that's what the Sail Saybrook goes. It's like it's a beach, but.
Yeah.
It literally says on Saybrook.
yeah, I'm trying to think, because the lighthouse, and then I don't know if I should do, I could obviously. pick that.
Have you actually seen the piano?
I saw the picture of the piano, yeah,
Okay.
because that was what I was kind of like basing it off of that, but I was thinking, because the top is so flat too, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we could like, what we could do with that. It was like, it's like super flat, and then I don't know if I should, what I should put on that. If I should,
That's something you would see when you're like up close to it.
yeah,
Like the stuff on the sides, you're gonna see as you're walking towards it, the stuff on the front, you might sort of see driving by.
Yeah.
But like on top, that's,
mhm.
you can be more detailed on top or do something.
Yeah, so I don't know, it's a lot, I have a lot of ideas, but I just wanted to kind of see you guys thought.
Make me a little anxious because they seem like they're too thin to move back and forth, in and out of the Frontier Studio. So
So what?
the legs in the front of the piano,
Oh, yeah,
they're sort of like
yeah,
fragile.
yeah.
So have you thought about what you'd like to do with those in terms of color and design?
So I definitely think I would probably do like the whole piano base color, just, it's like a really light blue, I'd say. just to kind of tie in you guys. And then I was thinking maybe, I think I might just go the simple route for all of like the different sides to make it not as busy as it could be. And so maybe do some flowers with the same color scheme as on the music folder on the pole or
Or
lights.
maybe a little vine to wrap it.
Yeah, yeah, something like
'cause it
that.
goes around.
Like a nice accent, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want it to look like elegant, not a huge advertisement.
Isn't the piano put on a dolly kind of a thing?
Well, you know,
That the legs
it didn't
wouldn't-
need to be for the past piano because it was such a box.
Okay.
But this one,
This one's, it's
Yeah,
very,
I mean, I think we have talked about it being on a dolly because of its.
We talked about putting better casters on it, so it's easier to move back and forth. Because if you're using small,
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
usually pianos are not made to be moved every day. So if we put casters that are substantial, they could easily move it in and out of the studio, yeah. They have to go over the trestle.
Gotta get jostled.
yeah. Well, my original idea for the color scheme was like light blue, like gold, like accents for paint, maybe like what the flowers can be gold, to not
And that
make it
kind
as
of,
busy.
the gold kind
Yeah.
of takes off from the old Saybrook, welcome to old Saybrook.
Yeah.
It has gold and
Oh, yeah.
everything on it.
Right,
So-
Yeah.
dark blue with the gold, yeah. But
Yeah.
dark blue would be the base.
Yeah, no, I was thinking like white, really light blue or white for the base color, gold, like accents, so the flowers would be gold if they weren't like a different color. And then light blue for kind of some of the wording, but I'll also will do like darker blue, make it stand out a little more, or like black. But I want to be kind of just, I don't know, like elegant a little bit. Cause it's Fred Astaire, it's like on near Fred Astaire, it's like right next to the beach cottage air, like that store, cottage flare, which is like light blue, you know? I don't know, I was
So
a lot of
it's
ideas.
just my opinion, but if you're gonna do one lighthouse, it would be great to do both of them, either both together on the same side.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I think people would say, or I would say, oh, where's the other lighthouse?
yeah, you're right.
One of you thinks about. say,
Yeah, they're right next to each
Yeah.
other too.
And they're different styles, which is interesting.
So maybe that could be on the other side. I don't know.
You can do a beach scene on the deck, you know, put if you do the lighthouses on the side,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, you can do.
So you do two lighthouses on one side.
no,
On
one
the-
lighthouse
on
on
the-
one.
on the-
and
on
on
the
the-
panel. Kind of like you're coming through the channel, and then the water can be on the top of that piano. That's
Wow.
That's what we say, yeah.
Travel the piano,
There you are.
channel.
and the sun coming up and sun setting, but they might not tell you.
Yeah, and then for the, I really like to say play me, that was a good idea, but, cause
Yeah.
right above the keys in the last one, I really liked how they said play me in yours, so maybe we could do, say, play me or something, kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, I was just, with it,
You said, where were you were gonna put the only on yours right there,
yeah,
right there.
I was thinking of that.
And then on the top, because it's plain, you do breakwater, is that it? Wait, no, wait, how is it? I don't know.
I was thinking
Where
maybe
is
we
the
could
word
do,
breakwater?
I wanted to put maybe words on the top, but I feel like it would be too flat. I think, or,
True, but because it is not in the line of sight, it's not as important. And I was just thinking in lines with, claiming on yours and then on the top, do the bubble thing with say harmony.
oh, yeah,
No,
yeah, I
yeah,
like
that
that,
is-
'cause it's not like too in your face.
Right, it's not in your face and it's related to the piano, but harmony like.
Yeah.
You can always hope, right?
Well,
Harmony there.
but,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yes, it's a step in the right direction.
I mean, do you think that you want to, after talking to us, like, really make?
Maybe I'll make like a
A mock-up.
mock-up,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely do that, cause I just want you guys to just be like, yeah. Cause I have a vision in my head, but I
Yeah.
know it's definitely looks different or sounds different, what I just said to everybody, so I just wanna send you guys something and then maybe in the next few days. And then you guys can respond, and then we could kind of figure out, if that's what you guys think is good, and then I just wanna hear all your opinions.
And I'll give you
About the
that
whole thing.
brand guide to see if that.
Yeah.
At least, might narrow down some of your color choices or
Yeah,
help you pick a couple different colors.
yeah, I definitely like, whenever I do commissions, I always like to have people really approve of what I have, what ideas I have. It's great. Okay, sweet.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, so I'll send you a kind of a thing for
And I'll
maybe
maybe
next week.
to get somebody to start prepping.
Okay, that sounds good.
And I have a question, did you know all these terms in marketing 101?
I knew most of some of them. One of my minors is marketing analytics.
Okay, I'm thinking, here she
Yeah.
is, she thought, all right, give me the quiz now, I got it.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are in marketing as well, like at my school, so I just hear the terms passing by and stuff. But it's useful for anything, honestly. Whatever you do, it's even like artistically.
For PPC is a paper, I got that one down. What are you talking about?
Alright, so I'll definitely make a actual like design.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Sounds good, I'm
I think
excited.
it was a pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you guys as well.
Sorry, yeah.
No worries, that was interesting stuff. Learned a lot. Alright,
Hope we didn't bore you.
no, actually, exciting. I'm gonna tell my mom. Thank you guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you. I will go to the staff report and maybe you can,
Okay, the notes.
yeah, clip notes because we've covered a lot of them already.
Yeah, I know you guys can read, so, I just gave you an update on, we're making a little progress on Mariners Way. And, started reviewing the latest round of grants for MCRC. No one from Old Saybrook applied. Super disappointed.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know why, but we are down in general in the applications this year. Last year we received 83, this year we have 50. So, I don't know. We already told you the new marketing video is up on the website, so if you get a chance to look at it, kind of nice overview of a bunch of things. It's what we're calling evergreen, so we wouldn't have to change it from season to season. It always represents. Let's see. I don't know if we want to talk about this now. I was hoping to sort of just give a little overview. Erica and Susan, as our marketing subcommittee, we all met with Maria. As she was saying, we can't get complacent, and I had already asked her, let's do a 12 to 18 month sort of deep dive into where we're going. And it's too long to talk about tonight, I think, but we did get some discussion started on that, and maybe next month we can talk about that more. And Maria did also offer to do a pre-summer boot camp for our businesses, which I think they would probably be very interested in. So we'll see if I can arrange that. Zoning, I don't know how many of you have heard about the Municipal Development Authority. We're hoping to join them. We're pretty far along in that process. Mike's probably familiar with that.
The presentation on running.
Yeah.
I think that's what the planning commission.
Yeah, it does mean an opportunity for us. So, we'll see where that goes. I know that they're gonna be a little selective in their first round because they really want to hit the ground running with projects that are ready to go immediately so that they can show an immediate result to their work, and whether or not whatever zone they set for us will have a project that ready would determine whether or not we're in that first group. We're not in the first group, hopefully we'll be in the next. Saybrook filled up, some of them are still empty. Art Wally we talked about. And then just I gave you a little update on the, ongoing grant projects and things like that. So that's just the quick version, unless anybody had any questions from what I said before.
Yeah, thank you. We'll proceed to regular business and I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 13th meeting.
I have one thing, like, under, the art hallway, old business, something big. The way I read it, it looks like the teachers have agreed on this, or, they've shown an interest, but there's no, I've talked with them individually, and they like the idea of the art hallway. It's just a matter of trying to coordinate them. And I've got high schools that don't have frames, I've got, the elementary school is, they're good, they got everything, they're already showing places. And the middle school, it all sounds interesting to them. I don't want them to think that that I've committed them to it, because they've got to put it in their curriculum to do this. So I don't know how we say it with them. I just said, showed an interest, we'll continue to touch base with the three schools. Okay. So they were all lovely, but when you go in and start doing curriculums and, saying, hey, when you do this, they're like,
It'll fit everything into the whole.
yeah, like, right.
Yeah.
And, maybe what I said before, like, maybe it's kids that are in an art club, or, kids that are a little more advanced that, want to do this. I'm not sure. Like I said, my little elementary school, those kids are all over the town. Showing, I mean, they're in Westbrook. At the
Yeah.
clinic, in Westbrook, yeah. With friends.
The frame issue be resolved.
I don't know, I've talked with a few artists, they say framing is pain in the neck. It's hard, again, that might be where she sets it up, it could be a money thing. I don't know how much money they get, I don't know how much disposable income they have for frames, if this is something. I have to go back and say, okay, exactly what is the deal with frames?
And I wonder if the frames would be $200. I mean, is that something you want to get involved in, or we could do, we would be okay, or not so much?
I could ask her and see, if you do go in this, what do you mean?
Yeah.
She just kept saying frames. I mean, I know how much it costs to frame things. Obviously, that's not it. The senior center frame things. So I could actually talk to her and say, how did you do it for, the senior center?
Yeah.
How did they, have this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that
She
some
did
that
it
having them
herself.
participate.
She ordered those frames really cheap, I think, from Amazon, and Sue did it herself.
The picture is a standard size,
Right.
it's like 8 by 10, but
Right.
you can get. Very
Right.
expensive.
So, or maybe I, talk to the elementary school, Shannon, and say, hey, how do you do it? Can you clue in?
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much in their business. I mean, I've tried to promote it and given them ideas. I mean, I even said to see if you kids wanted to do something, actually with the piano, because there's a stipend in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of worked on them. I don't want to.
So do I accept that as a motion with addition?
I don't know. We're taking that out.
Do I, with correction? All right, do I have a second on that motion with correction? Liz, thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody needs a little time to review the minutes, otherwise. No? All right, all in favor of the motion, of the minutes as revised?
Hi.
Aye, opposed? Abstain? Unanimous.
I just have one little thing of information about preserve, if I could just add that in at some point.
You want to do that now? Liz, because we have correspondence in it.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so I think what I meant mentioned before, it's the forest management plan. And that's a big deal to get that done. And, apparently the state is used to just doing it and having it finished. But because it's partnership with the town, we had actually a public meeting about it, people made comments about it, but none of the comments were added to the report. So that was a frustration. And, the Save the Sound group also, it has made a deal out of feeling that, we needed to have another review that was more intensive, like they do in New York State and in Massachusetts. And then, Chris Kreider also sent a letter to Deep about it. And the result is that they put the forest management plan on hold while they look at this deeper review, which, you know, I mean, a lot of this, I wish it had been done like 4 years ago. But at this point, it's like, whatever it takes to get it done well is what we're just gonna go through. So bottom line. And once the forest management plan is in place, then there's another step, which is really developing an activity plan. And the state wants it to be done in order. So we've been limited in terms of trying to work on the next phase, even while this phase can take forward. But anyway, so I just had copies made for each of you because I think profile it looked like things were moving along pretty quickly. But this is just so you know what the forest management plan consists of and why it's complicated. And now it's in a secondary review process. So anyway, just for your information, it's about, you know, forest health and diversity, climate change mitigation, economic benefits, protection, wildlife, recreational health, and environmental protection. So anyway, just to update you.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So we'll move on to new business. I think we've completed our piano, Main Street piano discussion. Any other comment on that? If not, election of officers for 2025.
Yeah, I think we're not quite finished with that yet, so hopefully finish it next month.
Hopefully we'll have, just to throw in a piece. We received a resignation. I'm almost 80 years old. I forget words. They hang in there, but you have to have some trouble sometimes grabbing them. Casey Hand has resigned from the commission. I think most of you know that she's taken a position with the Mariners Way revitalization committee. And she's got 2 young ones, and she thinks she stretched a little too far with all these commitments and made a commitment to that. We have a position to fill eventually, so yeah, deal with that and with the board of selectors moving forward on that. But hopefully we'll be ready next month. And I guess we've taken care of the, no, we do have some discussion on the,
There's some to share.
yes. Yeah, all of it.
This is the woman I met on the Eagle tour.
Yeah.
I went on the riverboat, like my husband and I did a Saturday on this riverboat tour. And I saw this woman with gorgeous camera. Not that I know anything about cameras, but it beats the cell phone.
Big and
It was
impressive.
big, I was impressed. So I, watching, she's taking all these pictures and she's answering all these questions. So I always carry my Saybrook, like my business cards. She doesn't put my name on it, but I carry it. So I went up and I did ask her. And first of all, she was with the captain of the boat, like she go into his little I was like, oh, she's important. So I introduced myself. Yeah, I did. I went in, I introduced myself, I told her that I was on the EDC. I explained, we also do this art hallway. We would love photographer, does she do this? She goes, I never have, but I'm interested. And so we started talking. And she's shot all over the world, all over. And I said, oh, no. We don't need like alligators from the Amazon or something. We can get like what's down in like Lower Connecticut River Valley, where this, like Chester, the sound, like what do you have? And she said, I could do a few, and I was like, oh, this might not work. Then she comes up with what, 78 or something. And so anyways, she built it out. I mean, she's ready to do it on, first choice, May. She's
excited.
I think it's
And
great.
that's
Great. Yeah.
Do you know how many people I stop and give that card to? The housekeeper next door, had a helper, and she was an art major. I said, by the way, I know you have 3 kids at a job.
Then you're spiritual.
Yeah. But anyway, I think she's gonna be good. And it was funny because when we met with Maria, she said, oh, wildlife pictures, I may be interested. Because I told her, you can sell. She goes, oh, I've never sold it. And I was like, oh, you might, I rethink that if you want to. But didn't Marie say like she might be interested in some of the wildlife pictures for her stock?
Oh, maybe.
On that phone, like we were talking at, whatever, on that meeting. Okay,
Yeah.
so, I do that. I'm always in there. Ask her how many times I come in on, so I get more business cards.
She's my best customer.
Okay, so I think that.
I had those little tags in my jacket pocket the last time I was down at the dog watch for happy hour. When the guys was there. We went over to Essex for Peter's wife went up. And I said, so we gotta come over to if you're coming that far, he lives in the borough. So if you're coming that far, you might as well come home Saybrook, you know? And the reason my pocket had those, say Saybrook card and handed it to him.
Yeah.
So you say it, but then they go on, it sends you to your home. You can take that. My name's Eric. It does, and it sends the people to.
Maybe you were here the day I passed it.
Oh, yeah.
I have stickers too.
So I also did this, I went to Dagmar's to thank them for doing the cake for the baby shower. This woman was bringing something back and we got chatting. She had a card with her name on it. I gave mine. She is in the business on 35 Elm Street, the personal care, like senior help, help out. And she said, can I come to you? I said, what are our businesses? And she said, really? I said, yeah. And we did talk about doing other things and just, anyways. So she may appear at our, one of our meetings just to see what we're about. Thank you, but that's good. Yeah, take that. You have a shot. We should keep it.
Oh, it's too small, nobody cares.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling them I'm practicing retirement, so. If I was on the uptake, I'd be all over it, but
All right.
I'm on the downside.
Should we take that, make a motion for?
Person.
Yeah. Entertain a motion to approve Cindy for the May through September,
August.
May through August.
I'll make the motion to accept Cindy Craft for May through August with her photos.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
The names on the application. This form is clear.
Must be the old.
Yes.
That's a similar.
Yeah, I have
They have updated it.
I don't even carry these ones.
You have what?
Give me the whole art formula. Oh my
Visit centric.
God. I was in sales.
Oh, well, there you go.
I went to Quaker Oats and I was in sales.
All right, so we have, I think, one other thing on the agenda, under old business, the EDC awards.
Yeah, so, I can't believe I did this, but so I met with Maria before this meeting and I thought I had all my stuff, but I did not bring, I did talk to Park and Rec. And I got a list of dates when the DPW is available, in the first and second week in June. And, I know, and so I guess I'll have to email those to you. I mean, the one, I did get 2 sets of, dates and times. Because if we wanted to do a morning one like we did the last time, or if you'd prefer like an afternoon one, like 4 to 6:30. I've already cleared all of them with land use. They're good with whatever we pick. So why don't I just email all of you the dates and then we can have a vote that way over which one you prefer. But it is available in one of those first 2 weeks in June. And as far as the rest of the stuff, the only thing I'm still waiting on is, I really don't have any details on the, 2 women apparel shops yet. So if anybody, I don't know if Nick was coming up with more on that or. So maybe I'll just email him separately on that. Other than that, I can do a write-up for all the other places with, I think, the information that we have.
Okay, if you want to write them up, I mean, I'd be glad to help you with it if you want. Or if you're going to take, it's fine, but, just to get them framed, a picture and the write-up. I think that's what we talked about.
Oh, okay, I forgot about that we were talking about too, the flag, that's fine.
Yeah,
I think Nick said he was gonna research the plaque.
who's going to do what?
Nick was gonna have some source on it.
Oh.
Is it him? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I'll get that out to you guys, the dates, so that we can pick one that I can book that and then. Yeah, we're gonna have to start moving on this because it's gonna be a waste of time.
But we better find out from Nick if he's got those splits, because I think, didn't the, review board use, the frame shop locally administered? Yeah.
Actually, so the woman who works, the one who filled in last month for us, she's the one who's been handling the packs for them, and she said, she said that they would agree to give us the same pricing as ARB if we wanted to use the same format that they have.
I think we didn't want to use the same format because the ARB pictures are architectural in nature. They've got a big picture and then details of the business and then something, I think we talked about just a picture of the business and then the write-up. So it would be not the same size, it would be, more like that. I mean, and I gotta just say, I don't care how it turns out, but I mean, I think that's where we were.
Right.
Whatever you want to do is just fine with me, but I think that's where we're going with that.
Advisory groups.
We were gonna try and do one for the marketing one, but there isn't time and Susan has a meeting, so I think we should just table it.
Okay. All right, I have no comment other than, I kept you long enough. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So it's been Mike,
I'll second it.
second.
That would be so.
Second.